Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's the Sunday morning transfer show, which is always the most diverse, I think. It's got so much going on because of various reasons which we'll talk about. Great to see in the live comments people arguing about what CDM they would like, because funnily enough, we're going to be talking 3 in, 3 out. This is the story around Manchester United over the last few days, that Solskjaer is looking to bring in 3 players and move 3 players out. We'll be talking about who they are in a moment, and there is the latest news. Very interesting links about Sven Botman, who is the latest centre-back United have been linked with. Also, I know some of you feel a little bit disengaged in relation to the Glazers out movement. Some really interesting, positive update about things that many of you are doing, but many of you probably don't know to do around the Glazers out movement. That's really interesting. So we'll talk about that in a moment, around sponsors losing money who are attached to Manchester United, and a very big chance that will continue week to week. So I'll tell you about that. Also, worrying news around Harry Maguire. He's not definitely out of the final yet, but some people saying that how can he play, and we'll talk about that, as well as a Varane price set, a little bit about Sancho. Massive show tonight on the Sunday show, by the way. Really excited about what's happening about that, but loads and loads to get into as well. I want to talk about Botman first, but I've just realised I'm not wearing this tracksuit top to link in with Cards Plug. Cards Plug are sponsoring the show this morning. I'm sure you're aware of what Cards Plug is. You can buy these fully customisable cards through Cards Plug. 40% off through the United Stand exclusively with the code United Stand. Link in the video description. Now, these are fantastic if you're coming towards the end of the season. Doesn't matter whether you play pub football, good football, under 16s football, whatever. Great things that you can get for your end of awards players and thing. You can banter them. You know, instead of most improved player, you could have crap player and just have a bit of fun and give them 10 pace and stuff like that. So fully customizable. You can also put any picture on there. It can be you. It can be someone from your club as a banter thing. It can be a gran. It can be a favourite player. Badges, that, position, rating. They're very, very good quality card. You can put them up on your wall. You can carry them around the streets if you want to, you know, whatever rocks your boat. And put it up in your man cave, put it up in your bathroom, put it up in your dressing room. Remember, girls might like one as well. My daughter's got one. So links in the video description for that. United Stand, all one word, is the code, 40% off. And not just that, let me just show you that. You can get, they've got loads of different backgrounds. They've even got United Stand background, so you can get United Stand background with the trident behind it and everything like that. Also, you can get them in green and gold. Green and gold until it's sold. A lot of people like those at the moment. So links in the video description. Cards Plug, end of season awards. Get it for your brother, your friends, your mother, your gran, your lover. Everybody, they can get one. And it's fully customizable, as I said. It's not just pace, shooting, passing. You could put IRO for ironing. BED for bedroom, you know, whatever you want. So links in the video description with that. Let's go. So thank you very much to Cards Plug as well. And yeah, I quite like the fact that I'm linking in inadvertently with the Cards Plug thing there. But no, I like this. This is Sergio, what's his name? Takanadi or whatever. Classic 80s stuff. Anyway, let's go. So I want to talk about quite a lot of things. Quite excited about the show this morning. I want to talk about what's happening around the sponsors. Really, really big. And I'll point you in the direction of where that's about. But we're going to start off about transfer news because it is the Sunday morning show. Sunday morning in the UK, since being a little boy, when the news of the world or the people used to get delivered by the paper person, you go to the back and it'd be like 10 pages about transfers. You know, Liverpool are signing Romario, United are signing Batistuta, all this sort of stuff. So Sunday morning UK always get stuff that's interesting most Sundays. Now, what's interesting this morning is that there's a story coming out about Sven Botman. Now, it's coming out where I've seen it through is The Athletic, David Ornstein, who's quite credible. And what he's saying is that Manchester United are monitoring FC Sven Botman. Now, United, as things stand, and I think most of you would already know this, with Cavani staying, no striker. Sancho is a priority, as we know. We spoke about that last night. I don't really want to talk about Sancho anymore because, you know, we'll see what happens with that. If the money is paid, he can leave Dortmund and United can get him. The Glazers want him. But the centre-back has now become a priority. Now, many of you arguing about a midfielder in that. I'll talk about the 3 players Solskjaer's looking at in a minute, and that's probably going to upset people who want a midfielder, because I saw Basuma again last night and I thought, whoever gets him is getting a great player, but I don't think it's going to be United. But Sven Botman, if you don't know anything about him, 21 I think he is now. I think he's just turned 21. Left-footed centre-back. He's playing for Lille, Dutch. They're about to win the French league. Now, if you are playing in the Lille side and you're about to win the French league, you know, a lot of those players will have had a very good season because, as we know, PSG should be winning the French league. So he's had a very good season at Lille. He's a player that's been monitored by Liverpool. And David Ornstein is mentioning that he's in for us. Now, look, we're going to talk about Varane, and Solskjaer does want Varane. I think, you know, Varane is the number one centre-back that anybody would want because he's probably the best available centre-back in the world this summer. Available. But that in itself makes it difficult for United, because when do United go and deal with Real Madrid and take a player they don't want to sell? You know, it's going to be very difficult to do. So Botman's quite interesting because we've spoken about Koundé, we've spoken about Torres, we've spoken about Varane. And as we know with United, sometimes they don't get the first choice, they don't get the second choice, they don't get the third choice. They're like the unlucky lad at the end of the queue, aren't they, when they're handing out the Krispy Kremes and you get to the box, there's two left and it's just horrible glazed plain ones and everyone's walking away with the nice, you know, peanut butter one and everything like that. So, you know, United may well end up third, fourth, fifth choice on their centre-back, which is interesting with Botman, because where do you rank Botman as a centre-back? Now, I haven't seen loads of him. I'm not going to pretend that I have, but I've spoken to a couple of people this morning and I've read a good couple of arguments on a good couple of articles on like scouting report websites that I have access to, and I've also seen him play a couple of times. My impression of what I've seen of him, and it's not deep, is tall, not particularly fast, almost a little bit like a Vidic sort of centre-back. And then my initial reaction to that is, you know, is that not Harry Maguire? I know Harry Maguire's not Vidic, and I think Botman's quicker than Vidic, but would Botman and Maguire work well together? And I thought, you know what? I want Varane, because he's quick and he has all the attributes. He's good in the air, he's good on the ball, he's won things, he's experienced. I want Varane. That should be the priority, 100%. But I'm not going to be an arsehole and say Botman's shit, Pau Torres is shit. I just don't think they're at the level of what we need, and Varane would be perfect, because it's not just about buying another young player. I think the real attraction of Varane as well is the fact that he's so experienced at 28. And he'd be probably, you know, he's better than Maguire in relation to what he's done in his career. So if Maguire's a leader and he's got another experienced leader next to him, that makes us better. It's not just about ability. Botman comes in, straight away he's going to be in the shadow of Harry Maguire because Harry Maguire's older, he's more experienced, he's the captain. So therefore, you've got this whole Lindelof-Maguire thing again, where I think Harry would really benefit from having a very experienced centre-back next to him, like a Varane. But I wouldn't write Varane off. I wouldn't write Botman off. I think he is a good centre-back. He's only just turned 21. And the pace thing, is the pace thing really as important as we think? I mean, we can't have two Harry Maguires at the back who aren't particularly fast. And I don't think Lindelof's particularly fast. But I don't think Botman, from what I've seen and what I've read, is particularly slow. I mean, he's not, you know, Eric Bailly's sprint speed or Twan Sebi, but I don't think he's particularly slow. And, you know, also at 21, he's still got development in him. So it's interesting that David Ornstein's talking about him. The positives are he's having a very good season. He's still very young. He's brilliant in the air, and his passing's pretty good. And he's left-footed as well. So it does provide a balance, but obviously Varane's what I want. But look, let's keep an eye on what's happening with Botman. Very emotional seeing Leicester's owners last night. It makes the Glazers look like the fools they are, says Dan Stapley. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, give us your thoughts on Botman as we move on, because I want Varane. That's who I want. I want Varane. But there's a big contrast between Koundé and Botman. Botman's 6'4". I think Koundé's 5'10". Koundé is fast. Botman is okay fast. Koundé and Botman probably around the same on the ball. Koundé is right-footed. Botman is left. There you go. So there you go. We'll see. And look at Ruben Diaz at Man City. You wouldn't particularly think he's fast, but he is fast. And I don't know whether Botman can be like that, but we'll see. And a few people are saying Botman is not slow. He's not slow. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. He's not a slow centre-back, but he's not a speed merchant centre-back. So do you need a speed merchant, or do you just need somebody who's quick? And I think quick we could be all right with. Anyway, let's move on from Botman. Varane, reports coming out of Spain that Real Madrid would let Varane go for 70 million euros. I tell you what I say to that story. Go and smoke it, Madrid. I mean, at the end of the day, 70 million euros. He's got 1 year left on his bloody contract. Pogba's got 1 year left on his contract. We're not going to get 70 million, so why should they get 70 million? 40 million, shut up. We've been horrible with defending set pieces, so maybe that's the reason, says Vinnet. Well, yeah, I mean, Vinnet makes a good point there. I think this is right, and if it's not right, it's probably not far off right. I think United do top the league for most goals conceded from set pieces, whether it's corners or free kicks. We saw it at the weekend, didn't we? How many goals did we concede from set pieces at the weekend? Certainly the Firmino one was a free kick. Corner was the first one. Third one, yeah, the last two weren't from set pieces. But, 50% of our goals on Thursday were from set pieces. We've been terrible at it. And considering we've got one of the best aerial centre-backs in the world, in Harry Maguire, it's poor. It is poor. And I think that's because Lindelof's crap in the air. And you know what? I will say this. In Ollie's defence, who is he supposed to pick in that midfield, right? Because Pogba isn't particularly good in the air in the box, is he? He's given penalties away this season. He gave a goal away. He's 6'3", but he's not particularly good at defending crosses or winning crosses when it's a corner. That's not really his strength. And, to be fair to Pogba, he's pretty good at a lot of other things. Fred's not big. Lindelof's crap in the air. So you can sort of see why he wants McTominay in the team. And McTominay, I think, gets picked a lot because he is good in the air. And I will praise McTominay for that. He is good in the air. And I think the reason he gets picked a lot is because look at that team. Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Lindelof, Fred, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford. Apart from Cavani and Maguire and McTominay, we don't have many good people in the air. So there is a correlation there. You can't just say we've got one of the best centre-back players in the world in the air, but that's one player. You probably need 3 or 4, and I think that's why McTominay plays are not. I mean, it's not good enough, but maybe that's why we're looking at a good centre-back. Mark, why are we not in for Son? He's a Premier League proven, much cheaper than Sancho, and in my player, clearly a better player, says Osper. I don't know why you think that Son is a cheaper player than Sancho. I mean, he plays for Spurs. I can't see them letting him go. Wilmer says, you blame everything on Lindelof every time. He ain't that bad in the air, mate. Lindelof is shit in the air. I don't care what anybody said. He's not strong and he's not good in the air. If you think he is, that's your opinion, but I'm not going back on that. I don't think he's that good in the air. And I think Luke Shaw's quite good in the air, but we're talking about, dominant people in the air here. And I think we've got Maguire, McTominay, who are probably the 2 best players in the air, and that's not enough. I don't think our goalkeepers are particularly good in the air either. So, maybe Botman's an interesting one on that. But look, the show is called the thumbnail says 3 in, 3 out. This is the belief that we're looking at 3 signings. Now, this might upset you a little bit. The 3 players that Manchester United are looking to bring in at the moment. It used to be a striker, but we don't need a striker anymore. It's Jadon Sancho on the right, a centre-back and a backup right-back. There is no talk of a centre defensive midfielder coming into Manchester United at the moment. The link to the Getafe CDM was a load of bollocks. And there is an admiration for Declan Rice, but there's no expectation that they'll get him. There's no interest in Basuma. There's no interest in Zakaria. And Ndidi is unrealistic. United at this moment in time are not looking to bring a centre defensive midfielder. So the 3 players in would be Sancho, a top quality centre-back, and a backup right-back, which will probably be Kieran Trippier. So hold that thought as we go into the summer and let's see what actually happens, because that is what the rumour is at the moment, that United are looking at 3 players to come in. It's a right winger, Jadon Sancho. It's a centre-back, ideally Varane. And it's a backup right-back, which could be Trippier for about 15 million. Or they may go for Max Aarons, who's a bit more expensive. So, look, that's the situation. I don't like that situation personally. I cannot believe that we don't want a centre defensive midfielder, because I actually think that the problem that we had with Magaluf, Maguire and Lindelof is a problem. But I actually think the midfield is more of a problem than that, which says a lot. I think the problem in our midfield is way bigger than the centre-back problem, which does need to be resolved. So it's interesting. I mean, look, I think many of us would love to sit down with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and talk about things, about what's happening with the team. But I'd love to ask him about that midfield. And I think Ollie's a glass half full person, and he'd probably say, you know what, I think I think Scotty and Freddie are doing a great job, and next season you'll see the best out of McFreddy. And I'd be like, well, I don't think we will. And what if one of them gets injured? Which is never spoken about. What if Scott McTominay pulls his hamstring for 6 weeks? What if Fred breaks his leg? And don't anybody start cheering. That's not what I don't want that to happen. Nobody wants that to happen. But if they do, who plays? Because ultimately, I think they're the only two options he's got. So we surely have to buy a CDM. It should be a number one priority for me. But the way things are at the moment, Sancho, a centre-back and a backup right-back. No mention, no looking at a CDM. Now, I hope that's because we've got something really planned, but I don't know. I think, some people are mentioning Garner. I think you need to go and understand football. Hardwick says thoughts on Garner. Mate, he's played 3 months for Forest in the mid-table of the Championship, and he's done a great job. That's not enough. And Ollie won't do it anyway. I don't know. Look, I back Ollie, but I also watch Ollie. Where is the evidence that Solskjaer would take a 20-year-old who's played 3 months in the Championship or 4 or 5 months regularly and drop him into our midfield as a first teamer? He might keep him and use him 4 or 5 times in a season like he did Brandon Williams, but he's not going to use him like a first teamer at 20 years of age at Manchester United because ultimately he's not ready for that yet. He needs to go on loan to a Villa or a Brighton next year. So anybody talking about Garner, how far have we fallen as a football club that we're going to say, let's take a young, inexperienced lad, throw him into the Premier League for the first time and ask him to solve our midfield problems and win us a title? There's fantasy stories, there's zero to hero stories, and there's that story. I think Garner's got the potential to be a great player for us, but let's not throw him in like a brick into a swimming pool and expect him to float and make us title winners. Nobody should be doing that anyway. You should never do that, especially not in midfield. So we need to buy somebody, in my opinion, and I think that Garner goes on loan to Brighton or something like that, has a great season, and then in a year's time he comes to United, more experienced and more confident. Sorry if I mentioned this too much, Mark, but if United are looking at Botman, they should seriously consider Bastoni at Inter. He's way better, says Bradley. I've heard you say that a few times, Bradley, but we've never been linked to him, so you can only talk about what you're linked to. Hi, Mark. Do you think that we look at Maguire as a good centre-back because of his price tag? I know he's amazing in the air, but not much else. I still can't believe we paid 80 million for him, thoughts, says Akil. Well, I think Maguire's doing well at United in the last 6 months, and I think the price tag was never down to him. That's down to the club. I believe we want a CDM, but there's no budget for it. 15 for Trippier, 70 for Sancho, 50 for centre-back. That's 135. Lingard, De Gea, Pereira, Twansebi for approximately 70 net spend, 65, says Vinnet. Which is around what we normally spend, Vinnet, isn't it? Mark, what happened against Liverpool? Lucky for us, we didn't make the final after our masterpiece against Chelsea. Also, if Spotify buyers, we're in for Sancho. Mate, Zane, you could have a billionaire owner and Sancho wouldn't go to you. He'd rather go to Leicester. Why would Sancho go to Arsenal? He's ambitious. Also, the midfield is the heart of the team. Liverpool, Chelsea, City and Leicester are way clear. West Ham also better. We are maybe on the same level as Leeds, Tottenham and Arsenal. We need a better partner for Pogba, says DK. And thoughts on Tom Heaton coming for free, says Chuba. I'll quickly talk about Tom Heaton. I want to talk about the 3 players that are going to go out. So with the 3 players that are coming in, if they get it, is Sancho, a defender and a backup right back at this moment in time. Heaton, we're talking about the 3 main signings here, of course. Heaton's a free transfer from Villa as a backup goalkeeper. Now, are we going to replace David De Gea with Heaton and put Henderson in goal? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is there. Or is he coming in to replace Romero and Grant as the third choice keeper? We'll have to wait and see, but it's Glazer-nomics. Look, it would be Glazer-nomics to sell David De Gea, who's on 375k a week, and bring in Tom Heaton, who's free. That would be proper Glazer-nomics, wouldn't it? But we'll see what happens with that. Going on to the 3 players leaving United, the 3 big players to leave United, De Gea, Lingard, Matic at this time. They don't expect Pogba to go. De Gea, Lingard, Matic. Obviously, Lingard's obvious. Matic really probably should be moving on if he wants to play first team football, and he'll probably go Italy. And De Gea is the player that they're trying to offload as well. I speak to a lot of people. I read a lot of things. Of course, many of you do as well. On David De Gea, the more I read and the more I hear, the more I talk to people. Look, Marcus Rashford did his Man United 6-a-side team yesterday in the time that he's been at the club. David De Gea's in goal. You can't really... Harry Maguire's chatting away with David De Gea on the sideline of the Liverpool game yesterday. Lindelof gets on with De Gea really, really well. You cannot find, no matter who you speak to, who it is that doesn't want David De Gea in goal. Solskjaer speaks glowingly of him. The players like him. It just doesn't, and apparently David De Gea wants to stay. So it doesn't make any sense. Yet constantly we're hearing that United are trying to offload David De Gea. It can only be, well, look, I'm not going to say this is fact, but to me, more and more it looks like we're doing this to save money. We're doing it to remove a player who's on big wages and keep a player who's not on as much wages. Whereas I don't think Man City do that. I don't think Chelsea do that. I don't think many football clubs do that. I don't think you downgrade. Well, look, I'm not saying downgrade, but you don't just get rid of a player because they're on big money. You get rid of Sanchez because he's on big money, because he's a load of shit. But you don't get rid of a player who is actually your first choice goalkeeper and bring in a young lad to be your first choice goalkeeper. As I said last night, Kasper Schmeichel's nearly 35. He'll be playing like that. One of the best goalkeepers in Europe, I think Kasper Schmeichel is. He'll be playing like that for another 3 or 4 years at 35. David De Gea's just turned 30. And we're going to offer... You can't pretend... I think what's happened with David De Gea is they want to remove the wages because it saves them money and Henderson's cheaper. But what they've tried to do through media outlets is they've tried to make it out that De Gea's passed it. Because they know that if they just say, well, we're getting rid of him because of his wages, fans will go mad because it's Glazeronomics again, isn't it? It's just saving money. So they've tried to feed it out there that De Gea's finished. Oh, this is why we're doing it. But of course, it's backfired terribly, because not only because of what Henderson did on Thursday, but look at what David De Gea did the previous Thursday, wasn't it, against Roma? You know, absolutely amazing world-class performance. So this, to me, is just about money. Mark, do you think the United stand a chance of signing Camavinga as he's got 1 year left on his contract? If not, where do you think he'll end up, says Bradley? I think Camavinga would be a good signing, but I think he will end up at someone like PSG or Real Madrid. Akil says, hey Mark, if we sign a centre-back, do you think Ollie will trust the defence and not play McFred and play maybe Donny with a Fred? I'm not saying it's the right choice, but that may be his mindset. Akil, I mean, it did drop into my mind, to be honest. It could well happen. Mark, if you were Ollie, would you drop Henderson on Tuesday for his performance against Liverpool, says Daniel Kirk. And Clockend Ty says, love to see United fans' tears when we sign Grealish under your nose. Haha, we get who we want. I mean, Arsenal fans, I mean, I wouldn't spend any money if I was an Arsenal fan on a United Stand fan channel. I certainly wouldn't do it with 9,600 people watching. You just basically may as well have stood in front of a home crowd at Norwich and said, I'm a prat, because there's a lot of people going to watch this video, Clockend Ty, and you've come across as cockend Ty, really, to be honest. What are you talking about? But no, the previous comment, which was a good one, will Henderson be dropped because of his Liverpool forms? I always felt that David De Gea would start against Fulham anyway, because if you think about it, the final is coming up in a week on Wednesday. You've got to give De Gea a game before then. Otherwise, he hasn't played since Roma for 2 weeks. So De Gea will play against Wolves or he'll play against Fulham. So I would imagine he'll play against Fulham, and then Wolves will be for Henderson, or the other way around, but I think that will happen, definitely. Anyway, I want to bring this in. This is really, really interesting. So let me just find the message for you here. So, a lot of you been saying, now fasten your seatbelts for this, because, I mean, to get your head around it might not be easy, but hopefully I'll explain it quite well. So, a lot of people are saying, Glazers out movement, what's happening with it? We've seen the protests. We saw the protests on Thursday. Is there anything going on? Is there something I can get involved in? Now, this is really interesting. Now, I can't take any credit for this. I mean, look, you know, you get drawn attention to stuff. On Twitter, there's an account called @TheUnitedJournal. And basically, what they're saying is, and this is coming from at MediaWorks UK, anti-Glazer protests are appealing to click multiple times on any of Man United's sponsors' Google ads. This action immediately threatens to rack up worrying bills for the sponsors, which one specialist says could easily run into millions of pounds. CEO and founder of MediaWorks UK, Brett Jacobson, says that talking about the Not a Penny More movement, which hashtag Not a Penny More is a movement from United fans to say that they don't want the Glazers getting any more money. He says that we've already seen one major sponsor pull back from a new deal with Manchester United, and this move by the fans to remove the Glazer family as United owners has every possibility of having the desired effect. Digital specialists have evidenced more than 51,000 users of the Not a Penny More movement on social media platforms, with daily use rocketing 62% to peak at more than 7,000 mentions a day. Those looking up these sponsors in the last 48 hours decide to click just once on the Google's ads. The sponsors could be collectively facing an eye-watering bill of 1.2 million this month, and this figure could easily skyrocket. Assessment of Google Trends suggests that popularity of searches for 5 of Man United's key partners, Adidas, Chevrolet, TAG Heuer, Cooler and Aeon, have doubled in the last 48 hours just in the UK alone. So basically, look, that might sound like a load of nonsense to you or whatever, but ultimately what this is saying is that United fans, presumably, are searching for these sponsors of United a lot more. And what they're doing is, when they see an ad for one of our sponsors, they click on it, they go into the ad, they'll have a look at what's available. Some people are even putting stuff in their basket, like, you know, a top or whatever. And then they'll just cancel the order, go off it. And obviously these sponsors will be paying Google, as I don't know whether you've ever worked in this sort of area, but these ads you see on Google, they're paid for. It might be like £2 every time it's shown to somebody. So if United fans are going into these ads, having a look around and, you know, maybe putting some in their basket and then cancel it, every time a United fan's doing that, it's costing that sponsor maybe £2 every time, and they're not getting a sale from it. So their sponsorship budgets are being absolutely destroyed by United fans, and that will have an impact on those sponsors. And that's what that's saying, like £1.2 million a month, and it's got the potential to skyrocket even bigger. So this not a penny more movement, which is open to everybody to get involved in, this tactic seems to be working very, very well. And ultimately, there is a sponsor that's pulled out of United already. And if you are a sponsor looking to get involved with Man United, look, let's be honest, if you were looking to sponsor Manchester United and you've got a toilet roll brand or anything like that, and I'm not talking about that works well because our midfield shit, but what I'm saying is if you've got a toilet brand or whatever, and you're about to take on a sponsorship deal with United, or you've got a sponsorship deal with United, and you see what's happening, and you realise that, look, we're paying United sponsorship money, but we're losing money because we're being targeted, then it's a bad thing. So, people are always asking what's going on. That's quite if you understand that, check out at the United Journal on Twitter. I think it's at the UTD Journal on Twitter, or I retweeted it off at Mark Goldbridge. Very interesting that is having an impact, and everybody can get involved in that. So, yeah. You know, sponsors ultimately are the lifeblood of the Glazers. So, you know, let's see how that builds out. United Comp says, I added 120k worth of products on my cart for Adidas. It's not about how much you put in your cart. It's just about taking the time to go through the ad, put something in your cart and then cancel your order. You don't need to put loads and loads in. Anyway, so let's move on. We are Maguire. Let's talk about Harry Maguire for a moment. Now, I was doing a watch along last night for the FA Cup game. Well done to Leicester. And whilst we were doing that, we obviously have a chat like we do on the United stand. Somebody came on the chat and was like, my sister-in-law is she works in, I don't know, I can't remember what he said she was, but she's like a physician or something like that. And he said that she said that if you've got ligament damage and you're in an ankle brace like Harry Maguire is, the chances of him playing a football match in a week and a half are next to none. So look, I don't know. I've played football. We've monitored football. I'm sure we all have. You become a bit of an expert in injuries. You know that a hamstring injury is done by grades. It's graded by the tear in the hamstring, and by that you can tell how long they're going to be. You know that a bad knee injury, you're probably looking at 8 to 12 months. With ankle ligament damage, if it was heavily bruised. Ankle pain is bloody awful if you're playing football because so much goes through your ankle. It's like when you do your Achilles heel, but if you do your ankle, it bloody kills you. And you can be lucky and you can bruise it, and then maybe a week or two you're back playing. If you do something major, you're out for quite a while, and if you've damaged your ligaments in your ankle, then you could be talking weeks. So I don't know. With Harry Maguire, I would just say let's see what happens. But even if he doesn't. Do you get into the stage where I think we need to see Harry Maguire playing against Wolves a week today? Can he play a week today when on Thursday he still had an ankle brace on? I don't know. Do you want a situation where Harry Maguire comes back like Harry Kane did for the Champions League final when he's clearly not fit? And that's the danger here. I think, is he going to be fully fit for that final? And I think the chances are very, very slim, unless we're being told something that's not true, unless it just is bruising. So all I'm saying is with Harry Maguire, let's just see what happens, because as we know with Harry Maguire, he's a big unit, like he's a big centre-back, and a lot of power goes through that ankle, so we'll have to wait and see. And also, he's a bloody centre-back. If he has got a bit of if his ankle is a little bit weak, he can't really fly into tackles, can he? So, worrying about it. Hader Official says 3 to 6 weeks. It's worrying because he's had such a up and down season. He's come good, and as the captain of the team, you want to see him lifting that trophy. And I'm sure he'll be doing absolutely everything he can. But it might be that United have to make a brave decision and say, look, I know you want to play, but it's about what's better for the team here. What's better for the team is Harry Maguire plays, but we can't play him half fit. How many players can we realistically sell this season with Dalot, Pereira and Romero needing to leave, says Gwillian. And Subbo says, hurt their pockets and income. That's the only thing they care about. Don't buy any official merchandise. Thanks, Subbo, for the super chat there. And United have 80 million on book and 60 million in potential loans. We also need to pay ongoing deals like Fernandes. We will not spend 150 million pounds this summer, says Chelsea. Well, look, just going back to what we were talking about there, a couple of comments. So, if you are Manchester United and you are... Look, let's imagine this not a penny more thing escalates even more. People keep targeting the sponsors. These sponsors start losing loads of money. The sponsors are ringing up United saying, we're paying you money to, for positivity. Because of you, our brands are losing money. We're not happy. And those conversations will happen. If you're Adidas, if you're Cola, if you're Tagier, you're going to ring Man United and go, look, we've paid you millions and millions of pounds for positivity around our brand. That money's been paid, but we're also now paying out more money because of the relationship you have with your fans. We're not happy. That's what the sponsors will be saying. If you're United, how do you solve that? You need to get the fans being positive to the sponsors again. How do you do that? Jadon Sancho. Click the music. That's what they'll do. I said it last night. Sancho will be the deal that they bank everything on. Sancho, wearing the new kit this summer. We're going to win the league. We're showing, and what Sancho what will accompany Sancho is this shows our intent to win a title. But if you're a real football fan, you'll be like, well, it doesn't show your intent to win a title. It shows your intent to buy a top quality world-class right winger. Where's your centre-back and where's your CDM? But it'll be enough for a lot of our fans to go, yeah, Jadon Sancho. That'll be the deal, that they want to get you back on side, get the sponsors back on side. They need positivity. There's no point United going to ringing Google up and saying, why can't you stop these United fans going onto these ads and basically spamming them? Because that's just fighting fire with fire. The way to get things back on track is to get the fans happy and to get the fans happy with sponsors again. And the way you do that is you spend money. But they won't want to spend loads. Of course they won't. But I firmly believe that Sancho, and I'm not going to go 90%, but I firmly believe that that Sancho will happen, not because they want to win the title, but because they want to win our support back. Without Maguire, we'd lose the final. Our back six were all over the place last game, especially with the positioning skills Aaron Wan-Bissaka has. So, but look, Maguire's a massive loss. I am genuinely worried about that injury, but I'm hoping that there might be something behind that injury that's not as bad as we think. So let's see. Mark, will you let Liverpool get Sancho so that they lose sponsors? Says that guy. Well, I've got no say in that at all. Look, if Man United buy Sancho, I'll be very, very happy. Will I change my opinion on the Glazers or Manchester United and the way it's run just because we buy Jadon Sancho? No. And the reason is because this is nothing new to me. We bought Paul Pogba 4 years ago. Wow, Paul Pogba, we're going to win the league. Did we win the league? Have we won the league? No. Sancho's just another Pogba. Very welcome, very exciting, big signing. But if you don't accompany it with other signings, and that's your warning, if you're going to get excited about Jadon Sancho coming to United, I'm excited about Sancho coming to United because he's a very, very good player. But it shouldn't be a reason to park what you want at this club, which is change. Because Pogba never got backed up by other players. We bought Pogba, but then we never built on that. Pogba was such a signing to go, look at what we can do. Merch, publicity, marketing, positivity, sell those shirts. 4 years later, what have we done? Sancho comes in, positivity, merch, sponsors are happy, everybody's happy again. 4 years later, we haven't won a title. You've got to build a team. You've got to build on top of that. So signing Sancho, I'm not against the signing of Sancho. I wanted him last summer and I still want him. But and that's another good point as well. He should have been here last summer. Sancho shouldn't be our big signing of this summer. It's a blatant and honest appraisal of what's wrong with United. If Sancho's our big signing this summer, it just shows you what the Glazers do. They knock things back a year to save a little bit more money. He should have been the big signing last summer. We should be a different big signing this summer. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do once we sign Sancho. The shirts will fly off the rack. I'll be stoked, but it'll be very bittersweet, says Steve. Well, you say that, Steve, but then we talk about that not a penny more movement, and loads of people can get involved in that. I think it can have a big impact. I've not heard anything about United's interest in Marquinhos, Nitesh, so I can't give you anything about that. What I can say is we've got a very, very good show tonight at 8 o'clock. We've got, I mean, look, the United Stand is doing some of its own transfer business. We've got a new person on tonight on that, and I'm very excited about it. But also, some of the classic people will be on as well. And I'll be presenting for a change, which is great. We've given Flex the weekend off. He's earned it. And Flex will be at the Fulham game on Tuesday. So we're back at the grounds and for the Europa League final as well. So exciting to see fans back in the ground last night. And obviously fans back in the ground at Fulham. And obviously the Europa League. So we will have some footage outside and in the ground for you again, which is good. Duncan, if Pogba goes, is Milinkovic-Savic still an option? No. I think Pogba will be here next season. So there you go. Murphy's cancelled his MUTV subscription. Is there a protest at Fulham? I don't know. Look, I don't know what's going on with the Fulham game. Some people are saying that people shouldn't be going in the ground, but I think you don't want to divide the fan base, do you? So I think that there are better ways of doing things. But look, let's see what's happening. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. Spoken about that, spoken about 70 million for him, spoken about Botman, spoken about that, spoken about the not a penny more thing, backup for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Tom Heaton we've spoken about as well. So getting any player doesn't matter as long as the Glazers have the ownership, says Ryan. And who is a bargain CDM we are more likely to see the Glazers buy, says Wazza. I mean, at the moment, people are talking about Saul Niguez, Llorente. United are not going to spend a lot of money. They might not even buy a centre-back. So, I don't know. I really don't know. A centre defensive midfielder. Would we see protests inside that stadium? Would love to see the green and gold scarf, says Sabo. And people can't wear their masks right, for fuck's sake. Look at the crowd yesterday, says Alex Ferreira. And I don't see United getting Llorente or Saul Niguez because it'd be way too expensive. I don't think, as I said, CDM is the number one priority in my opinion. But there is nothing about any United CDM at the moment. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I mean, you look at Ndidi and Tielemans, you look at Kovacic and or Kante and Jorginho, or Kovacic and Jorginho. They've got options. Leicester got options. Even West Ham, Rice and Soucek. Obviously Man City, Liverpool, they've got really good midfields. And I'm not talking about attacking midfielders. They've got really good midfield pivots or midfield twos or whatever you want to call it. We haven't even got one good player to play that role. How could you go into next season as a manager and go, yeah, don't worry, don't care what Leicester have got or Liverpool have got or anybody else has got. I've got McFred. It's not logical. But I'm telling you now, there is no noise about United buying even one player to play in that role, let alone two. We haven't even got one. We need two, and there's no talk about it at all. So it's baffling. It's naive. I'd love to. This is the one question I would ask Solskjaer. Why are you not trying to buy a player there? Come on, just tell me on the quiet. Are you trying to buy somebody from there? I mean, bloody hell, one of your big coaches was one of the best players to play in that position. Has he not told you, Karaki? So I don't know what's going on with the CDM, but it's not like you can get away with it. The reason Leicester are having a good season, the reason Man City have a good season, the reason Liverpool have won things, the reason West Ham are having a good season is because they've got that engine room. What's the cliche? Games are won and lost in the midfield. We haven't got a midfield. So important. So important. Anyway, look, I am wearing the top, but it's not because of Cards Plug. It's just freakily it actually matches up. Links in the video description for Cards Plug. 40% off. Don't forget to give it a click and get yourself some stuff. End of season awards. You can have a laugh with your mates and your teammates. Get them a little picture and do that. Or you can get one yourself. Or you can get your favourite players on there if you want to. You can upload any picture you want. That's up to you. Badges, nationality, overall, and then your name or whoever's name. Great quality product. As you see, you can't snap it. And 40% off through the link in the video description. And you can fully customizable. You can put anything you want in there. You can have the standard dribbling, defending, physicality, passing, shooting, pace. That was when I was in my prime. That was 92 pace, 89 shooting, 91 passing, 88 dribbling, 47 defending and 87 physicality. I mean, actually, that's wrong. I would probably say my physicality was more about 75. Defending, probably about 75. Dribbling, 88, yes. Passing, 91. Shooting, I'd drop it down to 79. Pace, probably more about 85. So, yeah, there you go. But I'm going to get another one anyway. 10 pace now, yeah. Back pain, 99. Links in the video description. Don't miss the 8 o'clock show tonight. It's going to be a cracker. Have a cracking day. Check out Cards Plug through the link in the video description. Really good offer, 40% off, cracking offer. And, you know, if you're thinking about mates or, you know, for yourself or teammates for end of season awards, they're great. Speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.